I've been playing around with OpenToonz, so what I want to do is show you an overview of it and some problems I've had with it. This is the 1.71 version. It's interesting, and you could definitely do work with it. So I'll just very quickly show you, like, okay, the brush tool. Obviously, the interface is really intense. So we have different layers here. Column 1. Let's make a new column. No one is ever going to accuse this program of having an intuitive interface, by the way. So the naming convention, I'm going to do a quick bouncing ball, call it ball. Okay, where did it go? Don't know what happened there. So call that one ball, call this one ground. Going to make a ground layer. That's it. Now you can see it's only on for one exposure. So let's click on that layer there and just drag this to, let's say, 24. So it's 1 full second. We have the ball layer here. Make sure we're on the ball layer, and we'll just draw a ball. Let's go forward to the next frame. Obviously, we have to have an onion skin. This is the onion skin tool here. So if I click here, I can extend the onion skin. So now when we move forward, I can just continue to draw. This is not going to be a masterpiece of animation. We're just going to go through and just add more. I'm really not in love with the way these little dots are behaving, but maybe I'll figure that out over time. So the next one, I think I need to... There we go. So I can add whether I'm seeing all the frames back or forward, and we can just extend or contract this as required. So next I'm going to do that. Let's keep going. If you hear noises in the background, that is a little cat that I rescued from our field beside our house about a year ago in a storm. He's a great guy. He's also really loud. And I'm just going forward on 2s here. And the other thing as well, see FPS 24. That's about right. So typical classic animation timeline speed. I think I'll just add a couple more frames, 4 more, so that I can get this thing off screen. My volume is probably all over the place. So let's switch onion skin off. And I think to do that, I'll just double click. Back to number 1. So let's say we want to add a color layer. No problem. Go back here. Add a new layer. Call it ball color. I'll do that on a separate layer. There might be a better way of doing this, but let's do it like this. Brush tool. We'll make it red. And I'm going to make the brush a bit bigger. I can control the size of the brush here, and we can just go through and paint it in on that layer. I'm going to deliberately keep this loose because this kind of nice loose style is something that people used to do before we all went to these horrible digital puppets. And I've grown to really hate puppet animation. This program will do puppet animation. I don't like it. I wasted too much of my life on doing animation with Flash, and I've grown to hate it. So sue me. So it's nice to get some of the a program that can do kind of traditional animation back, and this is probably the simplest animation we can do with this. Is the simple bouncing ball. It has an energy to it that you often won't see in stuff that is synthetic puppets. So okay, let's go back to the beginning. There we go, bouncing ball. When I began playing with OpenToonz, I thought this is really great. I'm not going to have a problem with it, and then I had a couple of problems with it. The first was this file, save scene as. And when I did that, I ended up saving like an X sheet, or it didn't save the scene. And I had to do a bit of searching. So the solution is to go save all. And then I was trying to save it to where I want to save my scenes. But it basically gives you this thing called the sandpit. And it wants to save it there. I'm just going to make a name. I'll call it Bouncer01. Save. I don't know where it is, right? Like it's... And I'm sure someone out there who knows the program is screaming at me. But if I go File, Save All again, it's not even giving me like a choice of where to save it. Save Scene As, oh, there we go, Bouncer01. It's been saved in caches. This is the drive that I set when I installed the program. I asked it to put my sandpit there. Let's go back and see if we can find this Bouncer01.tnz file. That should be my scene. So it's Projects, Brush Test, Scenes. Very intuitive, isn't it? No, it's not. I don't even know what's happening here. Like it's that should be the scene, I think, on the scene icons, which is just an image, and it's put the frames, I think, in a drawings folder. They should be in here, but I'm not seeing a layer for call 2. That's my color layer. So hopefully it's in there. So this is one issue. This kind of complexity of saving files for me is really dangerous. Harmony does this too. Harmony is bad, but this is way worse because I need a simple save as in the folder that I choose, not your sandpit. I need to be able to save it and do iterations because I'm going to have versions 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and that is just really confusing. We can rotate the screen, we can zoom in, I had to like customize shortcuts for those. The ones that defaults were a little ugly. Now here's the problem I was having. Let's say we're back on the ball there and I want to, add a detail to it. Let's go back to black. Don't know why I've suddenly lost pressure sensitivity as well. So let me go back to here. Oof. Texture, vector, raster. Very slow too. This is not responsive at all. And this computer is not a slow computer by any stretch either. So for some reason, this is not playing nice. But anyway, I'm going to use this brush here. Don't know why that happened. That's a nicer brush anyway. So let's say I do this and I use the spacebar to move around. And now I'm back to the brush, right? That's really good. So I'm just going to go through and add some of these details. I think we accidentally deleted something there by mistake. Don't know how that happened. Insert cell. I'm trying to move this frame back. Dear God. See, these are things that probably there are easy solutions for, but I should be able to click on 14 and drag it. So I'm not loving the way this program is behaving. So I'm just going to undo. This is the kind of thing where there we go, back. I shouldn't have to do that. That should be intuitive. I should be able to click on this and move it. Do I have to hold down shift? Why can't I just, I'm already getting really frustrated with this. Maybe you can sense it. So I'll go redo. Great, just great, guys. I'm going to switch off the red again. I'm going to draw. What's going on? Oh, dear God. Raster. Spacebar and rotate. So far, so good. I'm hitting the spacebar, and then when I go on to the next drawing, or I move it. Oh, there we go. There's the glitch. So when I go to the next drawing, it switches off the brush. I go to the next drawing, spacebar, move, and I'm still on the brush. I'm tapping this. I'm going to the next frame, spacebar, and I'm still on the brush. Now, while working on the same drawing, I'm going to recenter it. And now the brush is on. I'll move it again, and I'm still on the brush. Let's go to this one. Draw, move. Now the brush is off. You see that? That wrecks flow. That wrecks it. Now, I don't know if this is a problem with OpenToonz, but for me, this is a point where when I'm working with a program, it's like the GIMP effect, where I launch the program, I go, the interface looks interesting, there's a lot of stuff here, I bet this program can do cool things, and then you hit this idiotic bug or whatever this is, and I throw up my hands in the air and go, stuff it, I'll uninstall the program. I can't work with that. It's such a small thing, but now every time I move and my brush is off, then I have to do that. Go to the next drawing. Brush is on now again. I do the line, do the construction, move. This time the brush is on. So sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. And now it's gone again. So I'm now expected to tap spacebar to move and then tap B every time. Spacebar, B, spacebar. Because sometimes it'll work and sometimes it won't, depending on what mood it's in. So not good enough. Just not good enough. I couldn't work with this, quite frankly. Solution for me is goodbye. Actually, before I do this, we'll go new scene. Discard changes, new scene anyway. And let's see if I can load the existing scene and see if it saved itself. And it did. It did, to be fair, actually save it. Now, what if I go File, New Scene, File, Load Scene. So yeah, it'll be in this projects folder. And I don't like the fact that it has this custom file manager. This is kind of control freakery. It just really annoys me. I want to see like a regular Windows, or if you're on a Mac, a regular file manager. I don't need this customized stuff. Where is my scene again? I think it's in here. Okay. So there's that. So that worked. I had a real pain starting that out from scratch. So what I'm going to do now is uninstall the program. So I do have the nightly build. Nightly builds tend to be a little more erratic, a little more buggy. So I'm just going to install it and let's see if this thing is the same issue. Let's double click on the nightly build of OpenToonz. And again, it's a nightly build. I don't expect it to be perfect. I'm going to give it some time, see if it loads or not. Again, the solution to this problem, the uninstall button. So obviously not what the devs would probably want to see people do, but that's my solution. So good. Luckily, one of my commenters on the YouTube channel said, try Tahoma2D. It's the better version of OpenToonz, and thank you so much for recommending it. So, Tahoma2D I'd never heard of until that comment. I don't keep up as much as I probably should with animation software, but it's a fork of OpenToonz, created by people that were kind of annoyed by the over complexity of the program itself. It doesn't need all the bells and whistles.
I don't have a sponsor, so if you want to support my work and help it to continue, you can subscribe to my Patreon. I'm making new animation projects week by week and providing animation assets that can be downloaded and used. I also have a very large collection of tutorials in the LinkedIn Learning Library covering animation and design, and I'm putting all the links to these in the notes below.
So here we have Tahoma2D, which looks very similar to OpenToonz. If you're familiar with OpenToonz, this will look curiously similar. It uses the same sandbox. I don't love that. It may well allow me to save somewhere else, but for now I'm just going to go with the default project name first time. Okay. And as presets for different resolutions, I'm going to go with 1920 by 1080. I think we can, yes, show at startup. Good idea to keep that on. Close. So I've already set up custom shortcuts so that I can, with the Z and the R keys, zoom in and out. I know there's a key to reset the rotation, and I forget. It was easy enough. Anyway, let's use the brush tool and compare it to the other program. So if you remember from OpenToonz, we made a scene. Let's do the same scene here. I think we have our icons here. Toggle auto creation. If I can figure out how to make a layer. There we go. Call it background. And it's letting me select how long this is going to be. So let's give it 31 frames. It's a raster layer, meaning it's just like a regular pixel-based brush. Click OK. You can change the frame rate with the slider. This is a bit of a waste. Like, what a waste of screen real estate. Like, you can just type in a number here. You're not going to need that for this. So anyway, 24. What I want to do is to compress the timeline. There we go. So we have the background layer. Let me draw a line for the background. Make a new layer. Call it ball. So I'll just draw a ball here. Nothing fancy, same as the other one. And you'll notice the onion skin tool is pretty much the same. I'm going to stretch it out to about there. Go forward too. Oh, and I do want to extend the drawing. So I've kind of made a mistake here with these. Let's see if I can delete them. Right click. Cut cells. There we go. So click on this and just stretch that exposure to here. And now I should have, yes, see I have the background drawing all the way through. Go forward 2 frames. Again, straight ahead animation on this. No real fancy planning. I'm going to just extend the onion skin a bit. Gaining a bit of volume there. Let's not worry about that. Losing volume now, so I will actually a bit bigger. See, from that side to there, I'm getting a bit small. The other thing too I would like to be able to do would be to put colors on these, because right now I'm kind of losing my sense of what drawings I should be on. Slight little offset here on the numbers, which annoys me, but when I'm getting real sloppy here, I'm really not going to worry too much now. Okay, let's go back to the beginning, switch onion skin off, just double click on that and hit play. Alright, looks like crap, but let's just keep going. This is not about an animation masterclass, it's just about finding out does this program work or not. Alright, so let's color it in, and again, red color. Let's make this a little bigger. I haven't gotten into the brushes. I know they're around here somewhere. I was using them last night, and I did like them a lot better than the ones in OpenToonz. Let me delete that cell. Delete? Yeah, good. So that should be from, see how it's popping off there. Let me switch off the that layer for a second. Oh, right. So what I've done here is I have all these cells on evens, and I don't want them, so let me delete that and see if I can extend that exposure. I want to just extend that exposure by 1. So this program has the same unfriendliness with the timeline that I felt with OpenToonz. It's kind of copy the same process. I'm used to using any other piece of software where I can click on it on exposure and move it. It's so frustrating actually to not be able to do it. Very hard to articulate how annoying that is. Also to be able to add exposures or remove them, which again, Toon Boom Harmony, simple process. For some reason a meal has been made out of it. I'll never understand why people reinvent wheels, but they seem to love doing it. Again, I'm not going to hide the frustration here. This is really annoying. All I want to do is to add an exposure to this and to remove all the odds. So, because these are all empties. So I should just be able to get rid of all of them and hold the odd numbers for 2s. That's all I want to do. It's a super simple process, right? Extend exposure. That's it. That's all I want to do. So it says hold down the control key before you drag. This seems to be holding it to here. So I don't understand. So this blank is holding it. So, oh God, I think it said hold down the control key. No, again, all I want to do is Let's delete that. This is so annoying. I want to move this to here. Why? Can I do Control X? No, okay, Control X works. Okay, so let's play this again through. And all I wanted to do before this was to start the ball color process. So let's see if I can do that without stepping on more landmines. I'm used to interfaces where if an exposure is held, you'll see a little line there. And this won't be one. I should see a line all the way through here. That would be a typical animation notation. Goes back to the 1920s or 30s. I don't understand why that would not be applied here. I am genuinely puzzled by that. I need to figure out how to get rid of that X in the middle. I'm sure there's a preference for that. Should not be on by default. It is silly. When I began doing a course for lynda.com, which is now LinkedIn Learning for Toon Boom Harmony, I nearly had a meltdown because the Toon Boom Harmony interface was so frustrating. This is worse. And I know some of this is an inheritance from OpenToonz. That's fine. And I know people this is not too bad. So I know people get used to it, and I would, as I use Tahoma, I could see myself using this program and just figuring out all these like little irritations. Okay, I have to hold down Alt Shift Control and hold my hand over my head for 2 seconds. Fine. This stuff really should not behave like this on first light. Like it should be intuitively designed, and that component, not being able to click these and drag them, not intuitive. It just isn't. And I'm not seeing like straight lines through to show me that this is actually being held. I don't know what this is. Is this an empty cell? Now, if I begin drawing there, does it create a new cell? No, I'm drawing on. I'm not even sure what happened there. Let me go back to black, and I'll go to B1, and now I'm drawing on the. And look, pressure sensitivity is gone, just like in OpenToonz. What happened? This is crazy. What am I seeing here? Like, I don't think it's my settings here, is it? Pressure's on. Okay, very strange. It just felt very blobby there. So let's see, if I draw that line there, it's on this one. So this is the same exposure onto, even though there's an empty void there. And I can now go through. So you remember the problem I had on OpenToonz, which drove me bananas, which is really like for me a killer, which is it's not remembering my brush. So when I go to space and move, it forgets my brush. If you watch, now I'm tapping the space, the brush is still active. It'll remember the last tool used. Now I can go on to the next frame. I can even work within this frame, move it around. It's not forgetting my brush. Well done, Tahoma2D, for not making, such a basic buggy mistake, which just simply can't work with. So I'm just going to keep drawing through, and again, just testing this to make sure that problem doesn't recur. I'm not really worrying about the lines here or this working as an animation. I'm just trying to test for bugginess, and it doesn't seem to replicate at all. Let's just go through to the end to be sure about it. All right. That at least shows that we can use it. The other thing too that Tahoma does better than OpenToonz is this. You see OpenToonz, this thing called opacity. Opacity is nice. Like when you can change the opacity of your brush. Great feature. Imagine not having it. Imagine not having it right there. And they don't. They don't. So I thought I'd spend 2 hours, I think, looking for a way to try to work with opacity brushes. Maybe there's a plugin, or people do support for it. I did see someone who did like a third-party thing. I don't want to mess with third-party plugins. I just want the damn program to work. Let me see if I can find the brushes. We have also different workspace layouts. For stop motion timing, blah, 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 blah. 2D's fine for now. And here we have the different brushes. So texture, raster is the one we want. Again, a little slow to load all the brushes. Here we have all these different brushes. So I think I can set the opacity much higher, darker I mean. And some really nice ones in here. Sorry about my cat. So some really nice ones in here. And definitely this is something that I would like to play with. And the fact that I can actually now move the spacebar around and do this and go back and not have to be tapping B to reactivate the brush every time. Pretty nice. That's kind of some of these very painterly, like the kind of thing you'd see in KRITA or Photoshop. We can do blurs and things. So you could imagine the ability to do like marker effects. I'm sure there's a way to make the brush bigger. I need to figure out some of the shortcuts. So interesting. Yes, definitely. So I'm liking Tahoma. The stuff that annoys me about it, like this timeline stuff, I can figure that out. What I can't figure out is how to fix a bug, because I'm not a programmer. If it doesn't play nice with my Wacom Cintiq, it's a bog standard piece of hardware. I don't know what to say, guys. You've got to get your act together on stuff like that. Tahoma works fine with it. KRITA works fine with it. Only OpenToonz has this problem. I think makes the decision for me, so I'm hoping to do some Tahoma movies, because I don't see how I can use OpenToonz in this current condition. So when OpenToonz does a new version, like a 2.0 or whatever, I'll come back to it and see if that kind of glitchiness is fixed or not. And if it's not, then so be it. So the last thing to do here is file. Same saving process here. Save all. Do not like this, because it kind of forces me to save it in a place where I might have a project folder. So this is something I need to look into to see if there's a way to save it. Like I can make a scene, call it test junk. I save it in there. First pile of silly. It's saving in my C drive, which don't like, but I'll look in there now and see. It's being, a bit slow there. Okay, so this is the default folder, which is obviously a bit of a hog. So let's just see if I can close that. Make sure it's saved okay. File, load scene, test junk. And that was it. First pile of silly.tnz. It's why I gave it a very memorable name. Let's load it. And there we are. That's it. That's my pile of junk. So it's saved. Let's see, under edit, or I think file, preferences, we can probably hopefully move. Yes, the default project path can be moved. So I'm going to move that to somewhere less cryptic, because I don't like it buried on my C drive. That's the operating system drive. I'd rather have it onto a secondary drive so that something happens to the Windows installation and I have to reinstall Windows, my work isn't saved onto that drive. That's really bad work practice. So I'll do that off screen. It's easy enough to do. Okay, that I'm not going to say that was easy, but this is free software. Do I like this better than KRITA? No, I like KRITA better. However, I suspect this program will play a lot nicer with audio files. KRITA can have issues with that sometimes. We have a lot more panels and things, and this will definitely have possibilities, that different effects. I know it has a particle system. I don't really want to get into that, but it has it if you care about such things. It's definitely more of a dedicated animation program, and I think any skills you develop with Tahoma2D will be transferable to OpenToonz, it looks like to me. Like the interface feels very, very similar. You can tell the shared programming heritage from one to the other. If you have any suggestions for stuff you'd like me to do with this, then let me know. I do like the principle of free software. I don't know if anybody has solutions to the issues I had with OpenToonz. If you do, again, leave comments. I would really appreciate it. Suggestions. The most terrifying phrase I've heard on YouTube movies is the community is very supportive. No offense to the community, but to me that means, oh god, everyone's tripping on these awful problems, and it's like a mutual support group to find solutions to things we shouldn't need to find solutions to, like how to move a keyframe on a timeline by how. I'll figure it out, but my god, that is annoying. Anyway, enough of that. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.